just to share with you guys. So first of all, I just want to start out with what we call some wins from this past year. So just really quick, these are things that, like, looking back on this year, these are things that I was excited about that happened this year. So first of all, one of the biggest wins I thought from this past year for Northview students, we had a retreat this winter called Ice Camp, which was for anyone from 7th through 12th grade. We got some people in the room I know that went. And we had 21 students go to Ice Camp from our campus, which was, I mean, a huge, huge win. It was a ton of fun from all of our campuses. All our campuses combined, we had close to 300, and including leaders, we had like 370 people at this camp. We absolutely packed out the camp. So that was an amazing, amazing time. Also this summer, another thing for 7th through 12th graders, we had a missions trip opportunity called SOS. We go down to Memphis, Tennessee, and we help repair houses. And we had 7 different students commit an entire week of their summer to going and serving other people, which I cannot look at that and not think, like, man, what a huge win. And so that was absolutely amazing. We also had a bunch of events this summer. For 5th and 6th graders, we did 2 different events, rock climbing and Get Air Lafayette. And so we got to spend a few hours going to those places and having a lot of fun there. And then just recently, we had a Kings Island trip for 7th and 12th graders. We ended up getting 18 people to go to Kings Island and just have a ton of fun. We had no one to throw on, so definitely a win there. We did have someone from the Westfield campus did throw up, I will say. So I'm not saying they're a weaker campus, I'm just saying the gag reflexes are a little bit, I'm just kidding, I love the Westfield campus. Love it. Don't let it. Sorry, I love other campus. So those are just some wins, guys. There's just know that from my end, I get the unique position of being the leader, so I get to see a lot of what's going on. And it's just know from my end, it's exciting. I absolutely love what's going on Sunday mornings and Sunday nights, and I'm excited. And even this morning, guys, we had, and some of you are in this room, we had 11 5th graders who had just moved up. We had 11 people join class this morning, which was like amazing. I know some of you guys were here, and perhaps even the bigger win, every single one of them brought their flamingo back, which I have never seen happen in the history of the Flyville Flamingos, as we like to call it. When we send out the flamingos, every single one of them brought their flamingo back. It was incredible. So those are just some wins. But what I would like to focus on tonight, guys, is just some encouragement for you, maybe a little bit of a challenge too. And I just want to talk about the importance of consistency. That's like kind of the main word I want to focus on is consistency. So for anyone who knows me well at all the students know I'm a runner. I use a lot of runner analogies. I absolutely love running. I started in 6th grade, and I ran every season of track and cross country all the way until I graduated college. And so running is a huge part of my life. Something that my high school coach would always say to us over and over and over again, almost every single day, he'd say, guys, or he'd say, gentlemen, remember, talk is cheap. That's what he'd say over and over again. Talk is cheap, right? And so in running, what that means is if you're going to talk a big game, that's worth nothing if you're not going to put the training in and the effort in, right? I actually just used this analogy this morning in our 5th and 6th grade room. So if I were to say, I am going to be the best runner I can be, and I don't commit any time to getting good sleep, eating good food, or running, well, then that talk of mine is cheap, right? Like the reality, just because I said it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like there has to actually be actions to words, okay? And so what I'd like you guys to think about is, I think for most parents in this room, you'd probably say that your children's spiritual lives, that their spiritual development is a #1 priority in your life and your parenting. And so what I encourage you with is that just talk, or is there action behind those words? All right? And so, what's amazing, one thing I want to encourage you with is the fact that you are in this room right now tells me that you do care. That's like a first step. The fact that you're here means you care about being involved in what's going on here at Northview and being involved in the program specifically designed for your students, okay? And so what I want to, again, encourage you with is, what do your weeks look like? You know, if you were to say, like, the spiritual life of my child is the priority, well, would your weekly schedule reflect that? I'll be honest with you, there's been a lot of times where my talk, in my spiritual life, talk has been cheap, and my actions are reflected. I think a very specific example, just being real with you guys, for a long time I said I really valued the Bible, and I really valued getting into Scripture. And I said that, and I believed it up here, but I don't think I believed it in my heart. And if you looked at my weekly schedule, my actions didn't reflect it. So the reality is, even though I would say, and I would really believe, Scripture, that's a priority for me, knowing the Bible, that's a priority, the reality is it wasn't a priority because I was not getting into Scripture on a regular basis, right? I kind of thought it up here, but it wasn't happening in my daily or my weekly schedule. So I just asked you, what does your weekly schedule look like? And I'd encourage you, I will say I've seen a number of students really commit to Northview students. And that means they're committed either Sunday night or Sunday morning, depending on their age group. They're there on a regular basis. They're coming to a lot of any kind of retreats that we have to offer, anything like that. They're there. And I've seen some really significant growth in these students, and I've seen a noticeable change. Why? Well, because they've made it a priority. It's gone beyond just like, oh yeah, that's like an important thing, just thinking in their head, but they're actually living it out. And so there's significant change and growth that's happening there. So, on that note, I actually have a student that I asked to just come up here really quick and share. And one thing I really want to encourage and talk about, and I'm going to have her talk on, is life groups, okay? And this is something that is fairly new to our campus, is student life groups, especially from the 7th through 12th level. So student life groups, basically, we meet Sunday night, and that's our large group environment, and that's great, but that's really just half of what Northview Students does, and the other half is a life group, which meets during the week. It's a smaller group, and it's gender and age specific. And so in that group, your student has a voice, and your student can ask questions. It's much more discussion-based, and so a lot of growth can happen. I can tell you from my student life group experience, that's where most of the growth in my spiritual life growing up happened in a life group environment. And so Megan Miller, not only is she in life groups, go on ahead, come on up. I'm going to brag on you really quick. But not only let's give her a hand first of all. Welcome. So first of all, Megan's a senior, and I need to give her credit because she did make the correct decision on college, because she's going to Taylor University, which is the correct college to go. I'm just kidding, sorry. I graduated from Taylor. I love Taylor, so I'm just bragging on that. But Megan is completely, from the start, dove all in Northview Students. She's there every Sunday. She committed to a life group. She serves in the mornings in 5th and 6th, and she's been, I'm pretty sure, just about every single retreat we've ever had. So, she's gone all in, and I've seen so much growth in her, but what I did ask her to come up and share about is the impact that life groups have had on her life. So, go ahead and give it up for Megan.
actually in my life group, and I have to say, I mean, going off of kind of what Erin just talked about, consistency really does matter. So Megan was there every single Wednesday, and because of that, she was able to form better relationships with me and my co-leader. She was able to form better relationships with the people in her group. And there were some others that maybe only came once a month or so, and I have to say I didn't get to know them as well. I didn't get to ask them, you know, if Megan or one of the other girls that was here every week said, hey, I have a test coming up, will you pray for me? The next week we could talk about, hey, did it go well? If it did, we can celebrate. If it didn't, we can talk about, you know, what your worth comes from Christ anyway. It's not about a test, it's about, you know, what your worth really lies in. And so if you come once a month, then that was a month ago, it's old news. You already had a bad test, you didn't get to actually have encouragement for that. So consistency is huge, and I'm in a little bit of a unique position because if you guys don't know me, by the way, I'm Kaylee. I'm the kids director here, so I do birth through 4th grade. But before Erin came on board, I did 5th and 6th grade as well, and I am a student life group leader in student ministry. So I kind of have the whole gamut of family ministry here to talk upon. And I can just tell you that life groups are important. Like Erin said, life groups are fairly new here, and we have just started 3rd and 4th grade life groups starting last year. So this is our 2nd year doing that, and so if you're here as a 3rd and 4th grade family, I'm excited that you guys are here as well as the 5th through 12th grade families. So Erin did a great job talking about priorities and consistency and how important it is for you guys to come every single week to whatever life group it is. With 3rd and 4th grade, what that really means and looks like is I want you guys to choose a service time that works well for your family. Maybe it's 9 a.m., maybe it's 11 a.m. But whichever one that is, stick with it, okay? I'm going to ask you guys to come to the same service every single week, because if you come in the 9 a.m. one week and 11 a.m. the next week, you're going to have different leaders in different groups, and you're not going to get as close with those people. And so we want to ask you to come to the same service every week. If you are in 5th and 6th, that looks like coming to the 9 a.m. service every week. Even though it's early, it's so worth it. Like Erin was saying, there's things that we say are priorities, and then there's our actions. And if we say that spiritual growth is important for our kids, but we sleep in and we don't get our kids up to go to service, then what are our actions really saying? And then like you said, for 7th through 12th grade, what that looks like is coming on Sunday nights and coming on Wednesday nights. So like I said, he touched on the consistency portion. I want to talk a little bit about what happens during the week when your kids aren't in church, okay? Because you guys have the amazing opportunity to be the spiritual champions of your homes. I'm talking to parents right now. So you guys have just this amazing chance to pour into your kids' lives when we can. Because the truth is, Erin and I would love to have enough FaceTime with your kids to be able to tell them everything that they need to know about Jesus and God and faith. But the reality is we don't have that FaceTime. If you think about it, the average amount of time that a family goes to church is not every single week, okay? We are obviously here saying, please come every single week. We think it's so important. But the majority of people that come to church don't come every single week. And so on an ideal situation, we'll get families for 40 weeks out of the year. And so that means we only have 40 hours with your kids a week to tell them everything that they need to know about God and faith and Jesus. And I don't think that's enough. And so that's why it's so important that on the off times when your kids aren't here, that you guys are pouring into them, that you're having spiritual conversations in the home, and that you guys are interacting with them about what they're learning on Sundays. So we want you to bring them on Sundays, bring them on Wednesday nights. That's super important, but then you need to ask them questions about it. Engage them about it during the week, because that's how spiritual growth is really going to happen. A few statistics here just to kind of help this sink in a little bit. This says the average 6th grader will come to church less than 50% of the time, so that's only 25 hours a year. At least 30% of that time will be spent saying hi to friends, playing games, updating social media, and saying bye to friends, which only leaves 20 hours per year to teaching. Okay, that's not a lot of time. Another kind of staggering statistic, middle schoolers will use their smartphone more in 1 week than they will attend your church in 1 year. That's pretty crazy to think about. One more thing, just to really help this hit home. The average middle schooler this year will spend over 200 hours studying math, 300 hours watching TV or movies, 600 hours using a mobile phone, but in the most ideal scenarios, only 40 hours at church. So I hope that those numbers kind of open your eyes a little bit of like how important this is to have more than just Sunday morning involvement. And I'm just so encouraged that you guys are here because, like Aaron said, this shows that you guys are in it. You guys are willing to learn more about what your students are doing this year, and we really want you to make it a priority to not only bring your kids to church, but like I said, to ask them questions then about what they're learning. And kind of an encouraging statistic, if you guys were in services today, you would have heard me say this, but there is a 300% more likely chance that kids will stay in church if they have spiritual conversations in the home. So that's so worth it. You hear all those crazy statistics of how much little time they actually have in the church, but if you have spiritual conversations in the home, that totally changes the ballgame. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was just widening your kids' circle. So you guys have, like I said, life groups that we want your kids to be a part of. If you're here, that means there is a life group for your child. It's either on a Sunday morning or it's on a Wednesday night. And that is not only key because it is, multiple times that your kids are getting more about the Word, but it's also key because, I don't know if you've noticed, but especially as kids get older, they sometimes tend to tune out the parental advice a little bit more. And so it's so amazing to have another adult able to pour into your kid and to tell them the same things that you're telling them, but they're hearing it from a different voice, and they tend to listen a lot better when it's coming from another voice. And so I want you guys to be encouraged that not only are you bringing your kid to a life group to learn more about God, you're also widening the circle about life advice. And especially in high school life groups, we talk a lot about life and what's going on and how we can encourage and support these students. And so just such an amazing opportunity that you guys get to be a part of, so please don't miss out on that. I think that's all that I had, so I'm going to go ahead and hand this back over to Aaron.
Thanks, Kayla. I really appreciate it. Yeah, good, Kayla. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap this up a little bit. A few quick last things just to mention. One thing, like Kaylee said, you guys are awesome. What's cool is, so our role at this church really is to do our best to encourage and provide support for you guys, and provide programming, but also support for you. So that's what we're trying to do, because we recognize, even as the student ministry pastor, I am not the primary spiritual influence on your kids. You are. And so I just want to do my best to encourage you, to provide resources for you, and all that. So that's what we're trying to do here. So any way that we can be of encouragement to you, any way we can help, let us know, because that's what we want to do. And so hopefully in this time, hopefully it has been a little bit challenging, and you thought, maybe maybe upping commitment or consistency or whatever. But really, what we hope this is encouraging, and it's motivational. That this year, this will be the year where maybe something like youth group becomes a priority, or something like Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. for 5th and 6th, that becomes a priority. And so we just want to encourage you, yes, that to start doing that and start coming on a weekly basis. And one thing I do want to do, because what this isn't, this is more vision casting. This isn't going to be just running through the calendar. But I do just want to mention 2 events that are coming up very soon. As if you're okay, what's the next step? Here's the next step. And this is, I will say, this is specifically for anyone 7th through 12th grade. There are 2 amazing opportunities I just want to let you know about. Since we're on the same room, I'm going to mention them. So really quick. So for our 7th and 8th graders, there's a very specific retreat called Fall Blast. It's a ton of fun. It's a camp environment. It's so much fun. So that is August 18th through the 20th. So if you want to write that down, again, that's for any 7th and 8th grader. And then another one I want to encourage you with. This is for high schoolers, and this is for, I think specifically, I see people in this room that this would be amazing for. So this is any 9th through 12th grade. It's the youth discipleship walk that's coming up. And there are people in this room, Megan included, and Cody was around here somewhere, who I think I can speak for them. It's safe to say it is a life-changing weekend. It's an absolutely incredible weekend that's totally focused on discipleship. So if you have a high schooler who you think could use a weekend of taking that next step in faith, then the Youth Discipleship Walk is, an amazing opportunity. I can't wait for it. It's Labor Day weekend, so it's the first to the 4th. And so I'd encourage you to sign up for that. So let me just close by just saying a prayer. You guys can feel free to grab whatever food. Kaylee has an announcement, so I'm not closing.
Sorry, I forgot one thing. So there are a few resources for you guys, also with parenting. Aaron and I, like I said, are here for anything that you guys need us for. But I understand that we're also not parents. And so there are some great parenting resources out there. And please, too, don't disregard that, because we have access to a lot of resources, even though we're not parents ourselves, that maybe you guys don't have your hands on. So please, we would love to partner with you in any way with stuff for your children. But one word is going to give you 3 different resources. So please write this down. I guess it's 2 words. Parent Q is what you want to write down. So Parent Q is CUE. And this is going to be something, there's an app, there is a blog, and there's a podcast. And I would encourage you to check out all 3, or if you're a blog person or a podcast, one or the other, whatever it is. These are amazing resources for you guys, okay? They're people that do tremendous amount of research on parenting, and they give great advice for different just life things. This is for elementary through high school, so these are resources for everyone. Like I said, there's an app, there is a blog, and there's a podcast, so please check those out. And then also, if you're interested in being a life group leader, Aaron and I both are recruiting right now for life group leaders for 3rd through 12th grade. So please let one of us know if that's something that sparked your interest. If your heart started racing when we were talking about the impact that you can have, we would absolutely love to talk to you guys about that.
Thanks. All right, let me just close in prayer for us, and then you guys will be free to go. Heavenly Father,